All right, so gold IRAs, huh? Looks like we're diving into those today. From what I'm seeing, you're thinking about making them a part of your retirement plan.
Yep, and it looks like you're even thinking about maybe using a little leverage to give your investments a boost.
That's right, and we've got a ton of articles and research piled up here, ready to go.
We're going to dig through it all today and see what we can learn.
Unearthing those nuggets of wisdom.
Exactly, to help you make the best decisions for your golden years.
Speaking of gold, one thing that always comes up with gold IRAs is that historically, gold has been seen as this safe haven asset, especially when things get a little rocky economically.
Yeah, especially during times of high inflation, you see people turning to gold. It's a key concept to grasp when you're thinking about using a gold IRA for retirement.
I totally get that. Makes you wonder why, though, right? We've all heard that phrase, safe as gold, but what's the story behind that? What makes gold act this way historically?
Well, unlike paper money, which, let's be honest, they can print as much of as they want, gold is inherently scarce. And we've seen over time how easily paper money can lose its value.
Inflation, right.
Right. But gold, it's different. Throughout history, gold has held its value. Civilizations have treasured it for ages. I mean, think about it. It's durable, it's portable, and it's beautiful.
Makes sense. That inherent value, that scarcity, that's got to be a big part of why gold holds steady when other assets are, well, not doing so hot. So
Uh,
how does this all tie back into a gold IRA?
What makes someone choose this over, say, a traditional IRA or a 401k?
I'm glad you asked that. That's what we're here to unpack.
It's all about diversification. A gold IRA lets you hold actual physical gold in your retirement account. You still get the tax advantages of a traditional IRA, but with that extra layer of diversification.
It's like having a backup plan.
Exactly, adding that extra layer of security to your retirement plan.
Okay, so let's say I'm interested. What are the steps to actually set up a gold IRA?
It's not that complicated, really. It's a four-step process. First, you got to open an account with a custodian.
The custodian.
Yeah, it's a company specializing in these self-directed IRAs.
So not just my regular brokerage account.
Right, you need a specialist for this type of account. After you've got the account set up, you'll transfer funds from your existing retirement account into this new gold IRA.
Like a rollover.
Exactly. Typically, you'll do a direct rollover so you can avoid those pesky tax penalties.
Makes sense. Got to stay on the right side of the tax man. What's next? Do I just go to the jewelry store and pick out some shiny things?
Well, not quite. This is the fun part, though. You'll work with a gold dealer, someone who's approved for these types of transactions, and you'll buy the gold. But here's where it gets interesting. You get to decide what type of gold you want.
Wait, there are different types of gold for a gold IRA? What are the options?
You can go with bullion, those gold bars you see in the movies, or you can go with coins. Some people even go with gold-backed ETFs.
Wow, more options than I realized.
Mhm.
What are the pros and cons of each?
Bullion is the most straightforward. Gold bars, they usually have the lowest premiums. You're not paying as much over the spot price of gold. Coins, on the other hand, those often have a higher premium because people like to collect them. But hey, they can be historically significant and they look pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, I can see how it can get more complex than I initially thought.
Yeah.
So, after I've got my gold, what's the last step?
Last step is making sure that gold is stored correctly. It needs to be in an IRS-approved depository.
The IRS gets involved.
Oh, yeah. The IRS has very specific rules about how and where that gold needs to be kept.
That makes sense. Got to keep everything above board, right?
Yeah.
So we've talked about diversification, but what are some of the other advantages of having a gold IRA? You mentioned tax benefits earlier. Can you tell me more about those?
Sure thing. The tax benefits really depend on whether you go for a traditional or a Roth Gold IRA. With a traditional gold IRA, your investments grow tax-free until you retire. You only pay taxes when you withdraw the money, and hopefully by then you'll be in a lower tax bracket.
So like a delayed gratification kind of thing.
That's a good way to put it. But with a Roth Gold IRA, you contribute after-tax dollars, but when you retire, withdrawals are completely tax-free.
So you're paying taxes up front instead of in retirement.
Right. This is great if you think you'll be in a higher tax bracket when you retire.
So some tax strategizing involved there for sure.
Yeah.
But beyond taxes and diversification, are there any other benefits someone might get from a gold IRA?
Well, a big reason people invest in gold is its history as a hedge against inflation. We talked about this earlier. When the dollar loses its purchasing power, gold tends to rise in value. It helps you maintain your wealth.
And that's especially important for retirees on a fixed income, right?
Uh,
Inflation can be a real problem for them.
It sure can. And then there's the fact that gold can provide a sense of wealth preservation, especially during times of, well, global uncertainty, geopolitical stuff or just a volatile market. When the stock market is taking a nosedive, gold often becomes a safe haven. It offers a level of stability that can be very reassuring during turbulent times.
I can see the appeal of that for sure. But let's be real, no investment is risk-free. What are some of the potential downsides or even just misconceptions
Hmm.
about gold IRAs that people should be aware of?
One thing we hear a lot is that gold IRAs are only for the wealthy, which is simply not true. Lots of providers have really low minimum investment amounts, which means they're accessible to more people.
That's good to hear. I'm also guessing another myth is that gold is just too volatile. You always hear about the price going up and down, up and down.
Yeah, people think gold is all over the place, and yeah, it can fluctuate in the short term. But if you look at how it performs over the long haul, it's actually been remarkably stable. Gold is about playing the long game, not about getting rich quick.
It's about building that nest egg slowly and steadily, which, when you think about it, fits perfectly with the idea of retirement planning. What about this idea that all gold IRA companies are the same? Is that a myth we need to bust?
Oh, for sure. Choosing the right gold IRA provider is one of the most important things you'll do. It's like choosing a surgeon. You don't just go with anyone. You want a specialist with a proven track record, someone you trust.
Absolutely. You want someone with experience and expertise. So let's talk about what we should be looking for when we're evaluating different gold IRA custodians. What are the key factors?
Yeah.
It's like we're picking a teammate for our retirement team, right? So what are the qualities of an all-star gold IRA custodian?
Well, reputation is huge. You want a company that's been around the block, a company with a solid history. Positive customer reviews are a big plus too. And if they've got accreditation from a reputable organization like the Better Business Bureau, that's a really good sign.
Yeah, you're entrusting them with a big chunk of your future. It's got to be someone trustworthy.
Exactly. You want to do your homework and make sure they're the real deal.
What about fees? Are there a lot of fees associated with gold IRAs?
Fees are definitely something to keep an eye on. Each provider has their own way of doing things, and those fee structures can vary. You've got setup fees, you've got annual maintenance fees, storage fees for the gold, and don't forget about transaction fees when you're buying or selling.
So it's a bit of a maze to navigate.
It can be. It's super important to compare fees across different providers and really understand what you're paying for. No hidden surprises down the road, right?
Transparency is key. What about customer service? It seems like having someone knowledgeable and responsive would be crucial, especially if you have questions about your account or run into any issues.
Oh, customer service can make or break the experience. You want a provider that's easy to reach, that has people who really know their stuff and are willing to walk you through everything. You don't want to feel lost and alone in this process, right?
Absolutely. Having that support system can make a big difference.
Well, we've covered the basics of gold IRAs, the benefits, how to choose a good custodian, all that good stuff. But now, let's dive into the deep end, shall we? Leveraging this idea of borrowing to invest in a gold IRA. I've got to admit, it's intriguing, but it also sounds a little bit scary.
Leveraging can be a powerful tool, no doubt, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart, and it's essential to understand the risks involved before jumping in.
So let's break it down. In simple terms, what does it mean to leverage in the context of a gold IRA?
It's essentially using borrowed money to potentially amp up your returns. It's kind of like using a mortgage to buy a house.
Yeah.
You're using borrowed money to buy an asset that you hope will go up in value over time.
Okay, so instead of just using the money I've saved in my retirement account, I could borrow more to buy even more gold within my gold IRA.
That's the idea. The thought is that if the price of gold rises, your potential gains could be much higher because you're investing a larger sum.
I can see the appeal, but there's got to be a catch, right?
Yeah.
What are the downsides? Well, here's the thing. Leveraging amplifies everything, the good and the bad. So yeah, if the price of gold goes up, great, you could see those big returns. But if the price of gold tanks, you could end up owing more on that loan than your gold is worth.
Okay, that does sound a bit risky. So it's not something to rush into. What are some things to consider before deciding if leveraging is the right move?
The first thing is to be really honest with yourself about your risk tolerance. Are you comfortable with the possibility of losing more if things go south?
So if someone's close to retirement and doesn't want to take big risks, leveraging might not be a good idea. But someone younger, with more time to recover from losses, might be more open to it.
That's a good way to think about it. You also need to think about your overall goals. What are you trying to achieve with your investments? Are you trying to maximize your gains, or are you more focused on protecting what you already have? If you're going for aggressive growth, leveraging might make sense. But if you're all about wealth preservation, it might not be the best fit.
Sounds like a lot of factors to weigh and probably some serious number crunching. Would you recommend getting professional advice before making any decisions about leveraging?
Oh, absolutely. Talking to a financial advisor who understands gold IRAs and leveraging strategies is a must. They can help you figure out your personal situation, your risk tolerance, and if leveraging actually aligns with your retirement goals.
It's like having a financial coach in your corner, helping you make the best decisions for your game plan. Now, speaking of real-life examples, I know we have a case study in our stack of research that illustrates how a gold IRA can actually play out in someone's retirement journey.
Yeah, we've got John's story. He's a retiree who used a gold IRA to protect his savings from the very things we've been talking about, inflation and market volatility.
That's something a lot of people can relate to, I'm sure. Can you tell us a bit about John's experience with his gold IRA?
Well, Jet worked hard his whole life, saved diligently for retirement. But as he got closer to retirement, he started getting really worried about the rising cost of living and the stock market being so unpredictable. He felt like the money he'd worked so hard for was constantly at risk.
I think that's a common fear, especially when you're shifting from saving for retirement to actually relying on those savings.
Definitely. John realized that his investments, mostly in stocks and bonds, weren't giving him the security he was looking for. He wanted something more stable, something to diversify his portfolio and create a more solid base for his retirement funds.
So how did he come across gold IRAs? What made him think that this was the answer for him?
John had always known that gold was a good way to preserve wealth, and so he started looking into how he could incorporate it into his retirement plan. The idea of a gold IRA really appealed to him. It had the tax benefits of a traditional IRA, but with the added bonus of holding actual physical gold, an asset with a proven track record of holding its value during tough economic times.
He was looking for that peace of mind, that sense of security that gold has historically provided. Did the gold IRA live up to his expectations?
According to the case study, it did. John put some of his savings into a gold IRA, and over time, his gold investment steadily grew in value. It became this dependable store of wealth that helped him keep up with rising prices, especially during periods of inflation.
So when everything else was getting more expensive, his gold IRA was there to help him maintain his lifestyle.
Exactly. The gold IRA gave John that peace of mind he was looking for. He knew that at least a portion of his retirement money was shielded from the ups and downs of the market.
It's a great example of how a gold IRA can be a valuable part of a well-rounded retirement plan, adding that extra layer of protection against inflation and market volatility.
And it shows the importance of making sure your investments match your own personal risk tolerance and financial goals. What works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding the right fit for you.
John's story really brings it all home, doesn't it? Shows you how a gold IRA can make a real difference in someone's retirement.
It's not just about the numbers. It's about having that security and peace of mind that lets you actually enjoy retirement.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into gold IRAs and this whole idea of leveraging, what are the big takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Well, first off, gold IRAs can be a really good way to diversify your retirement portfolio.
And they could offer some protection against inflation, right?
Exactly. Plus, you get the same tax advantages as a traditional IRA, but you're holding on to a tangible asset, something that's been valuable for, well, forever.
We can't stress enough how important it is to do your research and find a trustworthy gold IRA provider.
Absolutely. You wouldn't just trust anyone with your heart, so why would you trust just anyone with your retirement savings?
Makes sense. And if you're thinking about leveraging borrowing money to invest in a gold IRA, that's a big decision that you shouldn't take lightly.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. Remember, leveraging can work for you, but it can also work against you.
Gotta weigh those risks and rewards.
Exactly. It's important to really think about your risk tolerance, your goals, and, I can't say it enough, talk to a financial advisor. They can give you personalized advice, help you figure out if leveraging is right for you.
So, to leave our listeners with something to ponder, what's the most important thing they should keep in mind when it comes to gold IRAs and their overall retirement plan?
It's all about finding the right fit for you. There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to retirement planning. It's about finding that balance of investments that meets your needs and helps you reach your goals.
It's about figuring out what works best for you and your unique situation.
Absolutely. This deep dive has given you a lot to think about. But at the end of the day, the best decisions are informed decisions. So keep researching, explore your options, and take those steps to build a retirement plan that empowers you to live your best life in those golden years.
Great advice. And remember, it's a journey, not a sprint. Stay informed, stay adaptable, and make choices that give you the confidence and security to achieve your retirement dreams.
That's what it's all about. Enjoy those golden years.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of gold IRAs. We hope you found it valuable, and we wish you all the best on your retirement planning